Pete, before I let you go, now that you are Bitcoin focused, you got a price prediction for the end of the year? You said six figures in there. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, sure. I'll throw it out there. I think we're going to go above six figures for sure. And I think that that number is going to be a lot larger than most Bitcoiners think it is. I think my personal prediction is that we're going to go probably north of 300. I would say that this is based on my personal opinion that one of the things you see in Bitcoin is when it really goes parabolic, there's no one selling Bitcoin, right? So what is the Bitcoin price? It is a number that essentially, the market's sort of looking for a price at which the marginal seller will return. So I view Bitcoin tops as sort of social attacks on Bitcoiners, right? So Pomp, for me, like the top is the moment where you're like, man, I have to sell. Like I have to sell some Bitcoin because my brothers are going to yell at me. Something's going to happen. I'm going to be sleeping on the couch tonight if I don't sell my Bitcoin. Since most Bitcoiners expect 100,000, I don't think they're selling at that point, right? So I think the Bitcoin price is going to have to continue going up until some point at which it convinces enough people to redistribute their Bitcoins. I'm expecting the peak this year to be pretty aggressive. I'm a big believer in cyclical Bitcoin price theory, and I actually really take the side of thinking that we want the Bitcoin price to be more cyclical and predictable. I think if Bitcoin, this 4-year cycle kind of theory, if that breaks down, then I think it may be a little bit less confident in Bitcoin than I am right now.
And do you think that those long-term holders are just going to hold it until there's some specific price? Or do you think that they eventually just say, hey, 300K is nuts. This is just keeps going up at vertical and then I got to sell it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's one of the big questions, right? So I talked a lot, you have Dylan LeClaire a lot on this program. He writes the deep dive newsletter for Bitcoin Magazine. And, we go back and forth on this a lot, right? And my perspective as someone who's been in the industry for a long time is that, what is the marginal seller? If you really believe that the Bitcoin price, is defined not by people acquiring Bitcoin, but people refusing to sell, then in a top situation, really what you have is the reemergence of the marginal seller, right? Someone has to be selling Bitcoin at some point, right? Otherwise, it's just, you kind of are in a parabolic spot. So I think it's, to me, at least this is consistent with what I've seen in the past tops, is the previous tops were essentially the price was so high that they had to convince the long-term hardened Bitcoin hodler to become the marginal seller, right? Somebody has to provide the market with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin price is just a number. It's looking to kind of coax demand out of the market, and it's going to go up until some point where psychologically, we as long-term Bitcoiners break. So I do think it will be the long-term Bitcoiners, who maybe start to think that they can take something off the table, right? I think the alternative view is essentially that, oh, that's not going to happen. No one's ever going to sell their Bitcoin. I don't know. I think the Bitcoin price can go high enough to convince you to sell. Look, when I started writing about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin was worth $50. Did I think it would go to $1,200? No. I watched it go back to $200. Did I think go to $20,000? No, I didn't think it would do that ever. At this point, my capacity for disbelief in the Bitcoin price is
infinite.
I think at this point it's, but again, I would actually, argue on the other side of that. I think that would be a great thing for the industry. Like more people will become interested in Bitcoin, hopefully. But, I would caution like how much we've really achieved at that point.
I love it. You may be more bullish than anyone else we brought on the show recently. I love
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is the number one on your price prediction? Who has the most lofty prediction?
Lots of people for like the next halving, million plus. But probably, what was it? Raul Paul, I think, actually.
He said 400.
He said 400, but he said it not till the end of Q1 or Q2 of next year. And so, by the end of this year, he thinks 200K.
Okay, all right. So you know what? I actually, because this is recorded, I flipped a little bit and I said 300, but privately I've been saying 500 because again, I think that the number has to be high enough to really wow, like you got, like I think again, like one of my theories here is that Bitcoin tops are psychological attacks on Bitcoiners, because again, we're people who were born in the fiat system, right? Yep. We are people who are looking at Bitcoin and viewing it in US dollars. So when I was talking about my recent article about, sort of Bitcoin agnostics, right? One of the things with the cryptocurrency industry is that, we're sort of looking at all these dollar symbols and we're trying to derive some meaning from it. And I think that most Bitcoiners also are guilty of that, right? So I think, yeah, if Bitcoin wants to create a top, it's going to have to convince some of the never sell Bitcoin bulls to give up some Bitcoin. So I think I am confident in the Bitcoin technology's ability to coax sellers back to the market, and I think that the price at which it does so will likely be higher than we can posit currently, because it's an attack on us.
500K Bitcoin. A lot of people be freaking out for that one.
I just want to be top on your board.
You're the top. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're the top. No problem.